The Internet of Things and Security Vulnerabilities, the Basics. Dr. Frank Cardez. The Internet of Things, IoT, is a network of interconnected devices that can communicate with each other and the Internet. These devices are becoming increasingly popular in homes, businesses, and industries. Devices can include hundreds of things including smart refrigerators, wearables such as smart watches, voice assistants like Amazon Echo and Google Home, smart thermostats, autonomous vehicles. However, the security vulnerabilities of IoT devices are a growing concern. IoT devices are often designed with limited security features, making them vulnerable to cyber attacks. In this response, we will discuss some of the security vulnerabilities of IoT devices. One of the most significant security vulnerabilities of IoT devices is weak or default passwords. Many IoT devices come with default usernames and passwords that are easy to guess or find online. Attackers can use these default credentials to gain access to the device and its network. Users often do not change these default credentials, leaving their devices vulnerable to attack. Attackers can also use brute force attacks to guess weak passwords, making it easier for them to gain access to the device. Another security vulnerability of IoT devices is outdated software. Many IoT devices are not designed to receive software updates, leaving them vulnerable to known security vulnerabilities. Attackers can exploit these vulnerabilities to gain access to the device and its network. Users often do not update their IoT devices, leaving them vulnerable to attack. IoT devices are also vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks. In a man-in-the-middle attack, an attacker intercepts communication between two devices and can eavesdrop on the conversation or modify the data being transmitted. IoT devices often communicate over unsecured networks, making them vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks. Attackers can use this vulnerability to gain access to sensitive information or control the device. IoT devices are also vulnerable to distributed denial of service, DDoS, attacks. In a DDoS attack, an attacker floods a network with traffic, making it unavailable to users. IoT devices are often used in DDoS attacks because they are easy to compromise and can be used to generate large amounts of traffic. Attackers can use this vulnerability to disrupt services or extort money from victims. Finally, IoT devices are vulnerable to physical attacks. Attackers can physically access the device and modify its hardware or firmware. This vulnerability is particularly concerning for IoT devices that are used in critical infrastructure, such as power grids or transportation systems. Attackers can use this vulnerability to cause physical damage or disrupt services. In conclusion, the security vulnerabilities of IoT devices are a growing concern. Weak or default passwords, outdated software, man-in-the-middle attacks, DDoS attacks, and physical attacks are all security vulnerabilities of IoT devices. Users should take steps to protect their IoT devices, such as changing default passwords, updating software, and using secure networks. Manufacturers should also design IoT devices with security in mind, including strong authentication mechanisms and the ability to receive software updates. The security of IoT devices is essential to ensure the safety and privacy of users and the integrity of critical infrastructure.